get upset with me today. But Coach, I'll throw it to you for an opening statement before we get into questions.
Appreciate it. I hope everyone's doing well. It was an interesting week. There's a lot of transition. Going from 90 to 80, and then placing two players on IR. Russell and Price, and then making a move. Cutting someone in the secondary, Williams at corner, and then bringing three guys in. To basically take their spot. So. That went on, and then really getting down to 80 was a huge transition, more so operationally from, standpoint of moving people around. I think that, the equipment room, the trainers, the weight room, the nutritionist, from where we're eating, there's a lot of moving parts to this thing to make sure that everyone stays safe. And, we're at a point now where really it's the first time where we've been together at 80. So we kind of went more towards the interactive meetings now, where we're practicing the physical distance. We're not together as a large group except for, really when we're on the field, and that's what you guys are going to see tomorrow. So I think, or when you guys come out, I think if someone came out and watched practice, I don't, you'll see, mask and things of that nature. I think, you'll pick up on that, but I don't think it really probably does the justice of all the protocols that are really going on inside the building. And I think right now everyone's done a good job. I think that everyone's protecting each other. Maybe that's not the right word, or the responsibility that they have. And that's what we're working on, and we're preaching to the players, patience, and making sure that really that's the number one goal before we get to, the football part, where, a lot of times, this time of year, everyone's it's just football. But I think there's a lot going on, and, there's an awareness standpoint of not just what's going on in the building, but, what's going on on the outside. We're going to be getting back, and, what's going on with the schools, how does that affect, our home life? Kids start going to school, they start doing things. I mentioned it earlier before, in the summer with the AAUs and things of that nature. So, it takes a commitment, to really put a stress on it. And I think, when these things come up, the first thing everyone's got to think someone was negligent in their actions or anything, but you don't have to be negligent to get this virus. So, that's still going on. But as far as everything else, I like the way we're practicing. I like the way the league has set it up with the PA. Guys are getting in good shape. We've had a lot of time out on the field. It's been hot. So I think our acclimation, may be better right now than it would be if we, I know it's better now than it would be if we would have came in and gotten to pads earlier and doing that. So, if there's any questions, we're still working. We have Rodney Gunther who's on NFI, and Scott and the doctors. They're working hard. With him, and trying to get him back so he can go. And the only thing that we're looking to do this week transitionally is I wouldn't be surprised at some point during the week that James comes off of the PUP list. So. We'll see how that goes. It doesn't do anything roster-wise because, the PUP counts as a roster spot. So I think we'll be looking for that transition as the week goes.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We got a couple people using the hand feature. Obviously, you can text me if you have a question. Mark, we'll start with you if you can remember to take off the mute button.
Says I am unmuting. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Doug, I'm just curious.
What was that? I can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Hear me? I'm on mute. I'm unmuted.
He got you, Mark.
Muted it. Now I unmuted it. You're the worst. You're the worst. I'm curious. What is your take on? I mean, a week into camp, you're down 5 defensive linemen, 6 if you throw in Gunter. How concerning is that at this point in camp?
Yeah, I think it would be concern. I'm not going to say it's not a concern, right? I mean, that'd be ridiculous. Be a lack of awareness. So I think that, yes, it was a concern. I think that, we're fortunate. I feel fortunate. I think, even some of the players that we picked up late have really looked good, out there. I think, and again, we're not doing anything, football wise, we don't have pads on, but, we're, the guys we brought in and the guys we're bringing in, obviously Carl Davis is a guy that we've have experience with, and we're bringing in, guys that we feel, have a chance. I think where you get disappointed is if you're bringing in players just to be able to survive practice and not bringing in people that have an opportunity to make the team. So I think we got guys that have good numbers, good intangibles. They show some flexibility. Some of these guys that we're signing, they bounced around a little bit. They're, chomping at the bit to try to get a job. So I think that, I feel comfortable with the guys we're bringing in here, but like you said, we've got to be careful. I think, when you're at 80, I think it kind of changes my thought process as far as reps and practice and things of that nature. Because it's very, if you're at 80 and you're minus the 4 specialists, now you're at 76, and you talk about injuries, and all of a sudden you're down low, and I think you can, you can hurt yourself looking at the 2s and 3s if you're doubling their reps, and you're not really giving them a chance to compete or show what they have. So, I'm looking at some adjustments. I've been talking to Jay and Wash about them because it's more offense than defense, and I think I have a good feel. I'm not ready to, say it. It's no big thing, but I think, I think I feel good about what we're going to do.
Are you good, Mark? Did you have a follow-up? Okay, thank you. We're going to go over to D-Rock and then John Reed. Please remember to unmute yourself. Go ahead, D-Rock.
Hey, Doug. I think last week this time, I asked you about 12 guys on the COVID list, but I don't think you've had anybody over the past week. Does that sort of speak to how well you guys have handled it, and in another way, how fickle kind of the virus exposure can be?
I think you're right. I think it's a very fluid situation. I think that, everyone's, we're all trying. I think that that's not the case. I don't think it's a case of someone, like I said before, being negligent until we see that. I think, we'll know. But I really can't predict it. I really have no idea. I think, it's amazing that, the habits that are being created, the mask in the locker room, anytime you walk into this building, you're going to see everyone, have mask on. The amount of hand sanitizer that's around, the amount of, arrows and signage, and, that's what I'm saying. The things that you guys won't be able to see, it's just, it's good though. I mean, I'm not, if we're sitting here and we're saying, oh, this is crazy. It's not. It's the right thing to do, and everyone's taking steps to make sure it's done. So I just think it's very fluid, and I don't ever feel confident that it's beaten. I just think it's a matter of just to keep on doing the right thing and see how it goes.
The news was out there around the draft, obviously, that the team was interested in maybe trading Leonard. That obviously didn't come to pass. But do you speak with him, talk to him when he came back, and say, hey, look, that's in the past. We're moving forward. Do you gauge what his what his mindset is like when someone goes through something like that?
I mean, his mindset is great. I mean, he's done a nice job. He looks good. He's in shape. He's working hard. So it's from that standpoint, I think, depending on the person, depending on the situation, I think you got to be careful. If you're a head coach and you're gonna chase every rumor or everything that's out there, once you do that, it becomes valid. Does that make sense? So, I kind of, unless it's something that I feel, if I feel something towards the player, I'm going to bring him in and talk to him. But I also tell the player, hey, if something's on your mind and something's bothering you, I expect you to be able to do the same thing. Things come out there if I hear rumors or things like that, but Leonard's been great. He hasn't said anything. He's been working hard, and like everyone said, everyone right now is probably just getting used to the protocols and getting themselves ready, and he's done a really good job. I mean, he looks good. He really does when he's out there.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Yep. Thanks, D-Rock. Let's go to John Reed and then Hayes.
How you doing, Coach?
Good, John.
Just relating to your depth situation right now, but even during the season, what is your expectations right now for Taven, and also for a rookie like Davon Hamilton when you going through your depth situation right now?
Yeah, I think with Taven, it's a little bit easier with the expectation because, I really felt that, we probably didn't help him early on in his career. We're moving him a little bit. I think, technique-wise, I think that probably stopped a little bit of the growth. And then when we kept him in one spot and, just working on the technique in the one position, you really saw some growth and saw him make some plays. So, real happy about that. I really think he'll take another big step this year. I think he took a big step last year where he's able to be productive and make plays. I feel really good about him. I mean, he's always been a hard worker. He's always been extremely strong. But I think, from what I've seen right now so far in camp is, someone that's really, really focused, really working on his game. So I'm looking to see him take a big step for us this year, and I think it'll help. With Chasen, I think that, it's the same thing. Hey, listen, let's make sure we learn from, the things in the past and, get him out there and let's see what he can do. He's a heck of an athlete now. He can do so many different things. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's powerful, but let's make sure we don't make mistakes like we have in the past. Let's make sure that, we got him in a position where he's very comfortable and he's going to be able to be productive. We're not just, putting him out there just to fill a position. So he's a real smart guy, which really helps. He's real bright. I think that one, John's probably more of, hey, we'll just see how it goes as we work our way through camp.
Do you have any timetable on how long Rodney Gunner might be out?
No, I think it's a fluid situation. It can be, I think I would say at least a couple of days. I don't think anyone needs to ask me in the next 4 or 5 days until we figure some things out. And then he's fine, but he's heavily involved. We're talking to him daily. We're just trying to do the right thing, working with the doctors and, working it out to get him back on the field. The sooner, the better for all of us, including him. But it's just a matter of it might take some time.
Thanks, John. Let's jump over to Hayes.
Doug, what are your thoughts on the college football season possibly being canceled?
Yeah, I've read about that stuff when we weren't practicing, meaning before we reported the camp. I don't know. I don't feel good comment on it because I don't know what the challenges are. You know what I'm saying for the college programs. So I've heard about it, but I'm sure their challenges are a whole lot greater than our challenges. I think that we have a bunch of guys that obviously it's their job and their profession. It's a little bit better controlled environment for them. I think there's a lot of empathy I have for the people that not necessarily. I know there's great fans and great sponsors and great support, but I kind of look at it like with my son. You're working hard, and all of a sudden, the year's taken away from you or pushed back for you. I have no idea, but I feel a little bit of that because I'm so focused on our team right now. But I guess the closest I get to is when I go home and I talk to my wife, and it's like your son and his friends. I feel bad, and it's upsetting, and I think we all go through that for everyone. And it's not just sports, it's not just football. It's all sports. It's for all clubs. I think you feel that for everyone. So again, it's we're trying to conquer this virus. So it's a difficult time for a lot of people, and it kind of makes you look back and maybe we've taken some things for granted, the ability to go out there, the ability to play, the ability to be part of this, the ability to go to, I never thought I'd say, shit, I like school, but, when I was growing up, but all of a sudden it's like, wow, if that was taken away from me, I don't know how it would be. I kind of try to put myself in what these other people are going through. And I think it's difficult because I've never gone through anything like this.
And how's everything going with Miles and Joe Schobert?
Oh, great. Yeah, no issues. I wouldn't even, I didn't even think of it. I think they both communicate well together. They both like each other. They both seem to be getting along great. So that's all pluses. And I don't think my expectation would have been any different than that. I think they're both excited to play together. I really do.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Hayes. We're going to jump over to Gene Fournette.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Gene.
Could you talk a little bit about your transaction last week where you bring in a 32-year-old cornerback at a spot where you had 3 rookie undrafted free agents and not a whole lot of experience at that position, maybe outside of DJ Hayden? How much did the fact that this was an 11-year veteran in Brock factor into that decision?
Well, it did factor into it, Gene. I think what happened was, I think if we would have lost a younger player by example, I think we would have brought a younger player in. I thought, thinking about how we wanted to build that room and build that position, when Rashawn left, we wanted to bring someone in, that has experience, that has the length to play outside, that, has done that before. And I think that's important because, at least you know what you're getting. I think Tremaine's a really good player and has played well in this league at times, and we're excited to have him. We're excited that he was even out there, to be honest with you. And I think, like you said, probably because some people looked at age or looked at other things, but I've been around enough to know that, hey, some people, it's just different, so when Tremaine comes in here, we're excited to see him. But to answer your question, it was more for getting another veteran in that room, a guy that's done it before, someone who has the ability to make this team in that position, depending on how he performs and earns it. So we're just kind of, I think, you'll see a lot of that where, if we feel that we needed someone from an experience standpoint and a security standpoint, you'll see us go with people that are a little bit older. Whereas if maybe for the younger player, we might bring in another young guy too.
As a follow-up, as of right now, before you even get to see these guys, make contact with each other in pads, where do you feel most comfortable right now? Which position group would you select as where you feel most comfortable about the depth at that particular group spot?
I think it's almost, for me, I'm not going to say it's not a trick question, but like the way I answer that is it's tricky for me, I should say, meaning that, when I get to the 53, and I've seen guys play, I think I'm going to be more comfortable with where we are with a lot of positions. I think, from a standpoint now, outside of obviously what occurred with the defensive line, that's the only place I didn't really worry. I feel like I can say where I feel like we have better depth than maybe in years past. Definitely the tight end depth position. I think we got a lot of guys there, but we still haven't seen them. But as far as their movement skills and what they've been doing, it's you feel good. I mean, we have a lot of numbers at running back, so I mean that's more maybe numbers than it is who are going to be the guys that make the team. We got 4 quarterbacks, so we're down numbers wise at the old line, but with the way we're going to practice, we have 2 out and 12 on the field, but a lot of those guys are back, so maybe, you as a coach, you might feel a little bit more comfortable with that, but I'm always looking, hey, is that a fake like a security blanket that maybe is a blind spot for me if I'm not really evaluating that situation well. We got a bunch of receivers in. We got, 7 safeties, 9 corners. As far as bodies at the position, I feel comfortable. As far as competition, I'm looking forward to it. And then when it gets to the 53, I think I'll have a better shot. And I think we all know, if we're a little light somewhere or, things of that nature, I don't think you could ever go into a season saying, 53, everything's perfect, because it's not, even if you feel that way, it's not going to last long. So that's a little bit of a difficult question for me to answer, but I hope I answered it by telling you how I feel about each one.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Gene. We're going to go over to Culpepper and then John Osher, a couple more.
Hey, Doug. We kind of have most of us have a good feeling for what the first sort of week of training camp practices look like in the past, with no preseason games and all the the changes with the safety protocols. Will this first week of practices before you put the pads on be the same kind of thing as you would have done in the past, or do you manage those practices differently?
I mean, you guys have been around me enough. So, like I said before, when I first started to realize there might not be preseason games, I kind of went back to the college, kind of just how we did things in college, and just to get a feel. Not to say we're doing it exactly like that. And then I started to get a feel. Then all of a sudden, I started to realize, wait a minute. In college, we had 100-something players. You know what I'm saying? And then now, we're going to be down to 80. So then I had to relook at things again to see what I wanted to do, and then kind of look to see where I wanted to implement, days of where, I wanted to get obviously some work in, some live work, some live contact, and not put anyone in any jeopardy of injury, but making sure that we're ready, for the season. So, going through that, I don't think that if I was to approach this year, Cole, like, hey, you're going to come out that first week and it's going to be the same. There's nothing that's the same about what's going on. I had a conversation last night with a colleague, and he was asking me the same thing. Someone who's not in football, but a friend of mine. And I'm like, it's just different. I can't, there's nothing that's the same. So, there's going to be changes and tweaks and different things. And I think probably now more than ever, if you had, 32 cameras around the league, I think, in the past you can pretty much look, and a lot of people were doing the same thing. I think this year it's going to be, 32 cameras and a lot of people doing a lot of different things, whatever they feel is best. So, I just think that, for us as coaches, we got to make decisions on what we feel the best way to get our teams ready and have a productive camp.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Cole. Let's go over to John Osher.
Hey, Coach. Being in the building the last couple of weeks with Schobert for the first time, what are your impressions of him in terms of defensive knowledge, ability to call a defense, et cetera?
Yeah, I think, I really love his demeanor. He's it's a tense demeanor when it needs to be tense, but he's also light when it needs to be light, which I think is good. I think he can recover quickly and faster. I think his communication obviously is excellent. I like the way, I think a lot of times when you look at players that come in, especially veteran guys, you see what if they have a like kind of a system or a type of structure for them to get ready. He seems to have that. Picks up on things very well. Works on trying to get people around him better. But I think we knew a lot of that coming in. Even just his past in college, when he was in college. I mean, I know a lot of guys on that staff, and pretty much, makes you feel good. At least, people didn't lie to you. Sometimes you get a guy and they tell you a bunch of crap, and then you get the kid in here and you're like, oh, Jesus, I guess I'm not really close friends with that guy. You know what I'm saying? You cross him off you cross him off your Christmas list. But, everything's been good on the money. And I think it'd be, I'm really excited. I think, like I said before, that group of players back there, I think we got some young guys that we picked up that, are really sharp. We got some guys that are coming back that, the second year for a guy like Quincy is going to help him. Dakota's done a great job for us. I mean, all those guys there, the stack position's good, and I think we'll have a battle at the Sam linebacker position.
All right, thanks, Osh. We're going to do two final questions. John Shipley, and then we'll finish with T-Wig. Go ahead, Ship.
Thanks. Hey, Coach, just, from what you've seen with Josh Oliver so far in camp, just what can you say about his mindset and really, how you really feel about your own expectations for him in 2020?
Yeah, I'm ready for him to go, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think that, a lot of times I look at, like I said before, you can only, there's not much to evaluate now, so you evaluate the things that you can. And I'll tell you one thing, like you guys haven't even seen these guys, right? I mean, up close and personal, right, Tad? They haven't even seen them. Josh is one of those guys. I think when he walks in, you're going to look at him and go, "Woo!" You know what I'm saying? I mean, he looks put together. I mean, he looks bigger. He's stronger on like the sled. He's stronger on, he's stronger in the weight room. He looks explosive. He's obviously healthy. So you're looking at a guy that has a lot of the characteristics that you'd want, and then, and then you got a guy like Tyler Eifert who's out there, and he's like, this guy can be good, and there's a guy that's played and doing that and is going to be able to help him. And that's the one thing about Josh. Josh is out there. He's like a sponge. He'll take all that information in, and he's been, he's been productive. He looks good out there, running around. And, but the main thing for me, I think, is this, he looks stronger. And a lot of times when you're a young player, especially in that position where, sometimes your matchups are going to be against bigger, stronger players, with like defensive linemen, the added strength, the added technique and leverage, develops a little bit of confidence. And, for some reason, maybe it's year 2, maybe he's stronger. I don't know. I haven't asked him, but he looks like a more confident type of player and being able to go out there and compete.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, John. And we'll finish with T-Wig.
Hey, Coach.
All right.
We can hear you, T-Wig. Go ahead.
All right, Coach. The question I have is, all the missed time in the condensed schedule, of course, is relative throughout the league, but do you think it's a little bit disadvantageous because your team is so young, or do you just use that to sort of change the way that you do things as opposed to having a more veteran team?
I don't know. I mean, I always try to be a realist about things. I think that sometimes when people say, "Hey, you guys got the youngest team in the league," I'm like, "Oh, that's great. It's good." These guys are going to go out there, and then some teams will have veteran players. They'll be like, "Well, it's good. They know what to do. They know how to get themselves ready. They know how to play." I think you need a balance in everything. So I think, right now I feel like, we have a balance. I don't know about advantage, disadvantage. I think that's something that, maybe, when you look back and you fall short, or there's things that didn't go as you expected, I think you'll go back and, say, you'll have regrets. I mean, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. But I think what I'm trying to do is manage both types of players. So, as the veteran guy, trying to manage him in a different way than I am managing maybe the younger players. Not to say one's right or wrong, but I think instead of trying to take one way and put it on all players, I'm trying to look at, hey, where do I maybe rest, some of these older guys, or guys that have had a history of injuries, and try to get them ready to go. And hey, these younger guys, how do I go with them where I don't overdo it, but I can get a chance to having a good evaluation for them to compete. So, I'm just trying to manage and do a little bit of both without having the numbers that, when you're in college, you got 100 guys. It's a whole lot easier to do it. When you're even at 90, it's a little bit easier. But, when you're at 80, or, really, let's call it 70, 76, with a couple of guys out, then I think you got to be smart. I'm not saying there's a right way or wrong way, but you just got to be smart with who the player is. And it probably goes from, each guy's a little bit different.
All right. Thanks, Coach. I'm going to come in there and log you out. But if you guys want to hang on, if you guys have any questions about policy,